Joining us tonight is former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you were advising President Zelensky, would you tell him to take a one-on-one meeting with Putin?
Sure, Stephanie. Yeah, I mean, President Zelensky knows exactly what he wants. And he knows also that President Putin is looking not for a peace deal, but to drag it out. So the longer Putin can drag it out, the more he can bomb Ukraine. So sure, President Zelensky ought to take the opportunity to do this, to demonstrate to the Ukrainians, demonstrate to Russians, demonstrate to Americans and Europeans that he, Zelensky, is looking for a peace. He's looking for a ceasefire. He's looking for a way to stop the killing.
Yeah, and this, of course, has been a war that's been dragged out. Are we closer to peace after that summit in Alaska and the meetings at the Oval Office yesterday? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that probably no closer after the Anchorage summit. But yesterday's summit, I think, actually made some progress. Europeans were united. Europeans came to Washington to make the point that this war is about Ukraine, yes, and that's why they were there to support Zelensky. But this war is broader than that. I think President Macron made the point that that this is about European security. The Europeans know, Stephanie, that Ukraine needs to stop the Russians now. Europeans want the Ukrainians to stop the Russians in Ukraine, exactly as your map shows. Stop the Russians in Ukraine so that the Russians don't threaten the rest of Europe.
Let's talk about American troops possibly on the ground. President Trump has ruled out U.S. boots on the ground, but not air support. So what kind of security guarantees is Ukraine looking for?
Ukraine wants concrete security guarantees that will deter the Russians from attacking again. They thought they had guarantees in 1994 when they gave up their nuclear weapons at the insistence of President Clinton. So the Europeans were part of that as well, and they didn't stop the Russians from attacking. So the Ukrainians want something more than just a memo.
And we know that today Russia's foreign minister said Moscow is open to talks with Ukraine, but insisted it's crucial for any meeting to be prepared step by step and with utmost care. What do you think he meant by that?
He means to drag it out. He means to stall. Certainly it is true to prepare. You need to prepare. There's no doubt about that. But what the Russians do and have done over and over and over is stall. And it allows their military to continue to batter, bombard the Ukrainians, which they've done.
The fire there has been nonstop the last 24 hours. Let's talk about a possible ceasefire. We know that President Trump has now backed off demands for a ceasefire, saying it's not necessary for a peace deal. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree. I think that President Trump actually had the right idea last week when he was very strongly in favor of this. He was very much ready to go to Anchorage and push for a ceasefire. He even said that if Putin didn't agree to a ceasefire, that President Trump was going to put some sanctions on. He's going to force Putin to come to a ceasefire. That seemed to change when they got in the room in Anchorage. However, again, yesterday, a better story. The Europeans came to town and pushed the ceasefire. We heard Chancellor Merz saying this right up front in public, in the public part. He made talk about it as a ceasefire. Many of them, I think President Macron also referred to a truce or a ceasefire or an armistice. They pushed back, and I believe that President Trump heard them and is moving back towards supporting a ceasefire.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor, thank you so much for your time and insights. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie.